The hotel front desk clerk was certain the black man couldn't afford their luxury rates. But when she refused his reservation and he pulled out his phone to make one call, her hotel's reputation was about to be destroyed by millions of followers.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and a comment before we start to learn more about what happened.
The Grandview Hotel stood proudly on Chicago's Magnificent Mile, its gleaming marble lobby and crystal chandeliers announcing to every visitor that this was a place of luxury and exclusivity. With rooms starting at $400 per night and a clientele that included celebrities, business executives, and international dignitaries, the Grandview had built its reputation on providing an elite experience for discerning guests. Marcus Thompson pulled his rental car up to the valet stand at 3:30 p.m. on a crisp October afternoon. At 35, Marcus had built an empire around his passion for travel, transforming his wanderlust into a multimedia business that reached millions of people worldwide. His travel blog, Authentic Journeys, had 2.3 million subscribers, his Instagram account boasted 1.8 million followers, and his YouTube channel generated millions of views per month. But as Marcus stepped out of his car wearing jeans, sneakers, and a casual hoodie, he looked like any other traveler after a long flight. His designer luggage was subtle, his appearance unremarkable, and nothing about his demeanor suggested the influence he wielded in the travel industry. The valet, a young man named Carlos, greeted him professionally. "Welcome to the Grandview, sir. Will you be staying with us?" "Yes, I have a reservation," Marcus replied, handing over his keys along with a generous tip. As Marcus entered the opulent lobby, he was immediately struck by the hotel's attention to detail. Fresh flowers adorned every surface. The lighting was perfectly calibrated to create an atmosphere of warmth and elegance, and the staff moved with the practiced precision of professionals trained in five-star hospitality. Behind the marble front desk stood Jessica Williams, a 28-year-old front desk supervisor who had worked at the Grandview for 4 years. Jessica took pride in maintaining the hotel's exclusive atmosphere and had developed what she considered a keen eye for distinguishing between guests who belonged at the Grandview and those who might be better suited to less expensive accommodations. When Marcus approached the desk, Jessica's trained smile faltered slightly. The man standing before her didn't match her mental image of a typical Grandview guest. His casual attire, relaxed demeanor, and the fact that he was a young black man immediately triggered her assumptions about his ability to afford the hotel's premium rates. "Good afternoon," Marcus said pleasantly. "I have a reservation under Thompson." Jessica's fingers moved slowly across her keyboard, though she had already decided how this interaction would proceed. "I'm sorry, sir, but I'm not seeing a reservation under that name." Marcus pulled out his phone and showed her the confirmation email. "Here's my confirmation number, GV-447891. I booked a junior suite for 3 nights." Jessica glanced at the phone screen but didn't really examine it. "Sir, our system shows that we're completely booked for the next several days. There must have been some kind of error with your online booking." "That's strange," Marcus said, maintaining his calm demeanor. "I made this reservation 3 weeks ago, and I received multiple confirmation emails." "Unfortunately, online booking systems can be unreliable," Jessica replied dismissively. "Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at one of the hotels down the street. There's a Holiday Inn about 6 blocks away that might better suit your needs." Marcus looked around the lobby, noting several people checking in at adjacent desks without any apparent difficulty. He also noticed a digital display behind Jessica's head showing room availability, which clearly indicated vacant junior suites. "I can see on your availability board that you have junior suites available," Marcus pointed out politely. Jessica didn't turn around to look. "That board isn't updated in real time, sir. We're definitely sold out." "Could you please check your system again?" Marcus asked. I specifically chose the Grandview because of its reputation for excellent service. Jessica's expression hardened. Sir, I've already checked. We don't have any rooms available, and even if we did, our rates might be outside your budget. Our junior suites start at $550 per night. The comment hung in the air like a slap. Marcus felt the familiar sting of racial discrimination, but his years of traveling had taught him to document these encounters rather than escalate them. I understand the rates, Marcus said calmly. Money isn't an issue. I'd like you to check one more time for my reservation. Look, Jessica said, her patience clearly exhausted. I don't know what kind of scam you're trying to run, but this is an upscale establishment. We cater to a specific clientele, and I don't think you're going to be comfortable here. At the neighboring desk, another clerk was cheerfully checking in a white couple who had clearly arrived without a reservation, offering them an upgrade to a suite because they were celebrating their anniversary. Marcus pulled out his phone and began recording. Ma'am, could you please state your name and position for the record? Excuse me? Jessica said, suddenly alarmed by the sight of the camera. I'm documenting this interaction for my followers. Your name, please. You can't record in here, Jessica said, though she wasn't entirely sure about the hotel's policy on recording. This is a public business establishment, Marcus replied calmly. What's your name? Before Jessica could respond, the hotel manager, David Richardson, approached the desk. He had been observing the interaction from across the lobby and sensed that the situation was escalating. Is there a problem here? David asked, positioning himself between Marcus and Jessica. Yes, Marcus said. Your desk clerk is refusing to honor my confirmed reservation and has suggested that I can't afford to stay here based on my appearance. David looked at Jessica, who was now clearly flustered. What's the guest's name? Thompson, Jessica mumbled. David quickly pulled up the reservation system on his computer. Mr. Marcus Thompson, Junior Suite, 3 nights, confirmed and prepaid through our premium booking system. Jessica's face went white as she realized her mistake. Mr. Thompson, David said, turning to Marcus with a professional smile, I sincerely apologize for the confusion. Your reservation is confirmed, and we have your suite ready. Let me personally handle your check-in. But Marcus wasn't finished. Before we proceed, I'd like to understand why your employee told me you were sold out when my reservation was clearly in your system, and why she suggested I couldn't afford your rates. David shot a warning look at Jessica, who was now staring at the floor. Mr. Thompson, I assure you this was simply a misunderstanding. Was it? Marcus asked, still recording. Because from where I'm standing, it looked like discrimination based on my race and appearance. The lobby had grown quiet. Other guests were now watching the encounter, some recording with their own phones. Sir, David said quietly, perhaps we could discuss this privately in my office? I think we should discuss it right here, Marcus replied. I want your other guests to see how the Grandview Hotel treats black customers. Marcus turned to address the lobby. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Marcus Thompson. I'm a travel blogger with 2.3 million followers across social media platforms. I came here today with a confirmed prepaid reservation for a 3-night stay. Your front desk clerk told me you were sold out, suggested I couldn't afford your rates, and recommended I stay at a Holiday Inn instead. The lobby erupted in murmurs of shock and disapproval. The reservation was in your system the entire time, Marcus continued. The only reason I was denied service was because a young black man in casual clothes didn't fit this employee's idea of who belongs at the Grandview Hotel. David realized he was facing a public relations disaster. Mr. Thompson, please let me make this right. Marcus looked at him steadily. How exactly do you plan to make this right, Mr. Richardson? David Richardson, general manager. Mr. Richardson, in the next hour, I'm going to post about this experience to my 2.3 million followers. I'm going to share the video I just recorded to my Instagram story, which typically gets about 400,000 views. I'm going to write a detailed blog post about discrimination at luxury hotels, and the Grandview is going to be the featured case study. David's face had gone ashen. Mr. Thompson, surely we can work something out. Can we? Marcus asked. Because discrimination isn't a negotiable issue. Your employee made assumptions about my ability to afford your services based solely on my race and appearance. She lied to me about room availability. She violated the basic principles of hospitality and human decency. Jessica finally found her voice. Mr. Thompson, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Marcus turned to her. A mistake? You saw a black man and assumed he was running a scam. You suggested he couldn't afford your rates. You recommended he stay at a cheaper hotel. Which part of that was a mistake? Jessica had no answer. I'll tell you what this was, Marcus continued. This was racial profiling in action. This was the assumption that black people don't belong in luxury spaces. This was discrimination, pure and simple. David stepped forward desperately. Mr. Thompson, what would it take for you to consider not posting about this incident? Marcus looked at him with disappointment. Mr. Richardson, you're asking me to cover up discrimination. You're more concerned about your hotel's reputation than about addressing the racist behavior of your staff. That's not... Let me be clear, Marcus said, his voice firm but controlled. I'm not interested in cover-ups or hush money. I'm interested in accountability. What training does your staff receive about unconscious bias? What policies do you have to prevent discrimination? How do you ensure that all guests are treated with equal respect, regardless of their race or appearance? David realized he had no good answers to any of those questions. Marcus turned back to address the lobby, his phone still recording. To everyone watching this, I want you to understand something important. Discrimination in the hospitality industry isn't just about one rude employee. It's about systems and cultures that allow bias to flourish. It's about the assumption that certain people don't belong in certain spaces. He looked directly at the camera. I travel 200 days a year and I stay in hotels like this regularly. But I'm fortunate because I have a platform to speak out when I'm mistreated. Think about all the black travelers who don't have that platform. Think about all the discrimination that goes undocumented and unaddressed. Marcus turned back to David. Mr. Richardson, I'll be posting my review of the Grandview Hotel within the hour. I'll be honest about what happened here today, and I'll be watching to see how your hotel responds to this situation. As Marcus walked toward the elevators with his key cards, provided belatedly by a deeply embarrassed David Richardson, he continued speaking to his phone camera. This is exactly why representation matters in travel media. This is why I do what I do. No one should be made to feel like they don't belong somewhere because of the color of their skin. The video Marcus posted that evening went viral within hours. Grandview discrimination began trending on Twitter. Travel bloggers and influencers around the world shared their own experiences with hotel discrimination. The story was picked up by major news outlets. Within 48 hours, the Grandview Hotel issued a public apology. Jessica Williams was terminated. David Richardson was placed on administrative leave pending a full investigation. The hotel announced mandatory bias training for all staff and the implementation of new policies to prevent discrimination. But the damage to their reputation was significant. Booking cancellations poured in, corporate accounts were suspended, the hotel's rating on travel websites plummeted. Marcus used the incident to launch a broader conversation about discrimination in the travel industry. He partnered with civil rights organizations to create guidelines for hotels on inclusive hospitality practices. He started a scholarship fund for aspiring black travel writers and bloggers. 6 months later, Marcus returned to Chicago. This time, he stayed at a boutique hotel that had reached out to him specifically to demonstrate their commitment to inclusive hospitality. His review of that hotel and their proactive approach to diversity and inclusion generated just as much attention as his Grandview expose. Because sometimes the most powerful reviews aren't about thread counts and room service. They're about human dignity, equal treatment, and the basic respect that every traveler deserves, regardless of what they look like or how much money others assume they have. The travel industry learned an important lesson that day. In the age of social media, discrimination isn't just morally wrong, it's business suicide. And Marcus Thompson made sure that lesson was learned by millions of people around the world.